Hi, I'm Billy Keels, the host of the Going Long podcast. Every week, I'm going to be here interviewing the absolute best in the business as it relates to real asset investing, as well as real Main Street investors. We're going to be having conversations where you can listen in, and that's going to help you to continue on your path to education so that you feel much more comfortable as well as confident in investing long distance. So make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you're liking it as well, because that way you can get every single episode as soon as it comes out. And by the way, don't forget to leave today's episode a 5-star review. Let's go ahead and listen to today's conversation. Welcome to the Going Long podcast. We're back once again to continue to help to educate you so that you feel comfortable as well as confident investing beyond your backyard. I'm your host, Billy Keels. And you know what? If you've ever wanted to know what it was like to have a lifetime of serving your community, going from a police officer to private placement fund manager, then guess what? Today's conversation is the one that you're going to want to listen to until the absolute very end, because today's guest had a lifetime of serving, or he was serving as a police officer, not only in Ohio, but also in the state of Arizona, and done that for over 10 years. And since then, he's been on a mission to provide qualified investors entry points into alternative investment industries. And he's the co-founder as well as the senior managing member of Round Box Equity LLC. I'd like to welcome to today's show, Mr. Kevin Haught. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Thanks, Billy. Great to see you.
Oh man, just when I see you, I smile. I'm excited. I'm super happy about today's conversation, and I know everybody's going to get so much value from it, man. So thanks in advance for being here.
I appreciate the invite. It's great to see you again. It's been a while.
Yes, it's been way too long, man. It's been way too long. I can't wait until we can actually get back on planes and meet up and hang out face to face and stuff like that. One of the things I also didn't mention, you're also the director of Family Legacy Homes, and so we'll probably talk about that as well. But listen, I've got kind of the same 5 questions I ask everybody, 2 in the beginning, 3 at the end. I know we talked about this pre-show, but help us to understand, where exactly do you live in the United States?
So I am in Phoenix, Arizona. So we are in the southwest part of the United States. In the hot part, southwest of the United States. It's desert. This is really the easiest way to describe it is we are in a desert. There's cactus and palm trees everywhere and 300 days of sun a year, but we don't get much rain. So bordering California.
All right. Fantastic. So you're out in the Southwest, and Phoenix is one of my favorite cities, man. It's fantastic out there. My wife and I were there not too long ago. So thanks for sharing that. And then Kevin, what's the most positive thing that's happened to you in the last 24 hours?
You know, to be honest with you, I'm really, really close with my kids. I have two boys. They're grown. My oldest one will be 26 in next month. And I also have a 21-year-old who's a senior in college up in northern part of Arizona. And it's not often that we could get together, especially since my older son, he's been gone for almost 5 years because he was serving in the United States Air Force. Okay. So he was stationed on the other side of the country. Well, I had one of those rare opportunities where the 3 of us got together it was just yesterday. And my older son came down. He had to hit a doctor's appointment. My older son is now back. He served his 4 years and he's back, and very grateful that he made it through that safely. And, we're all into weight training. So I said, hey guys, let's go to the gym. And it was really a great experience to be able to get the 3 of us. And now that they're grown men, which is not, it kind of changes that dynamic of the relationship. We got to hit the gym and work out. It was a great time.
Oh man, that's fantastic, and obviously appreciate your son's service, and I know that must have been such an amazing experience, just being able to be together yesterday and hit the weight room. I've got 2 little ones, but they're 9 and 11, so we've got a while before we hit the weight room together. Right. But so listen, man, I kind of gave a really high level some of the things that you've done, but Kevin, would love for you to share with the Going Long audience, like what are some of the things that you have done, some of the decisions that you've made to get to this point in your journey?
Yeah, so this goes back, and you mentioned it with the law enforcement career. This goes back all the way to 1994, right out of graduating from college. And I spent a year or so as a juvenile probation officer. I said, I want to get into law enforcement. It was always my dream was to get into law enforcement. So I did it. One of the things about doing it in Ohio, northeast part of Ohio, which is a complete opposite side of the country for your viewers that don't know, that's up near New York and Chicago and all of that. So it's cold. Working outside in the cold isn't always the most pleasant thing. So I got tired of it and I said, I'm going to move. And actually, this was back in the day of AOL dial-up. So I got on my computer and it did that funny noise and and I looked up the hottest places in the United States. So I went to an extreme. So I came out here to Phoenix, did another 5 or 6 years here. I finally had reached my goal when it came to my law enforcement career was to be a canine handler. Always wanted to do that. And I made it. So I made it through the process and made it onto the canine team, which was only 4 of us out of about a 300 person department at the time.
Wow.
That made it into that unit. So I was loving it. September 10th, 2001 at 1:57 a.m. I was responding to a carjacking call. 17-year-old girl decided she wanted to, her words, I'd never run a red light before. I wanted to try it. I just happened to be in the intersection responding to this call when she did it. She T-boned me at about 50 miles an hour.
Wow.
So it put me into obviously a really bad situation. I ended up having to have 5 major knee surgeries in 3 years, physical therapy for about 4 years of that, 3 days a week for about 4 years, had to learn how to walk again and do all of that. So then I was like, well, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? I can't go back to law enforcement. My doctor said, absolutely no way. Anything that has to do with you running or jumping, we're not going to allow it. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, well, let me go into corporate America. So I got in as a fraud investigator with Bank of America, spent a couple of years, about 5 years there, and then progressed into anti-money laundering investigations. And so I did that for about another 6 years or so as an anti-money laundering investigator, and realized that it wasn't for me. And it wasn't even a realization at that point. I guess all along I was like, this just isn't my personality type. I don't particularly like the environment. My experience with corporate America was a lot of, you should be really glad you're here and that you're getting a paycheck kind of mentality. And I was like, okay, this isn't going to work. So it got to the point where physical illness was coming upon me every Sunday because I'm like, oh, I got to go to work Monday. I feel sick to my stomach. I just couldn't sleep. And so I said, this isn't worth it. And that was that carrot, that really good paying job. And here's the high dollar check. And here you go. And be lucky to have it. And we'll see you tomorrow. And we're going to treat you however we want. Yeah. Then I walked away. I said, I want to go into real estate. I walked away from a $30,000 bonus payout 3 weeks before I was supposed to get it. I couldn't last. People were like, you only have 3 more weeks to get the bonus. I said, I can't do it another day. I literally walked away from it and left it on the table. Wow. Got my real estate license, started doing real estate. And then, but my goal with the real estate wasn't, I want to be the traditional realtor resale of residential homes. I did it to learn the business. Mm-hmm. I think it's important to do that. And then I progressed and I said, I want to get into the investment side and start working with investors. And that kind of led me to our local real estate investors association. And they had this big announcement that there was a guy locally that was going to talk about how you could take a single family home and instead of having a monthly return of about $200 to $300, you could do 10, 15,000, 20,000 even, done really well a month on a single family home. And my ears just went, boop, I got to see this. I got to hear this guy.
that bonus check was, you found the way to find the bonus check in a month, right?
Yeah. I was like, all right, we're out of here. So I go to that and, I went to, and it was Gene Guarino with the Residential Assisted Living Academy. And I once watching him and listening to him, I just got that vibe that I had been looking for. Mm-hmm. I had been investigating different asset classes, apartments, trailer parks, mobile homes, all great asset classes. Yep. Just didn't give me that good feeling that I really was looking for. Mm-hmm. I'm a giver. I like to help people, and especially vulnerable people in our society, kids and elderly, I'm extremely protective of. Okay. So I said, let me look into this. And that led me to that domino effect. It happened very quickly from there.
Yeah. So, I mean, and this sounds like, from the very beginning, you wanted to be able to follow your dream, right? After college, and you were fortunate enough to be able to do that. You just found you were doing that out in the cold. Then you use technology like many of us are using it today to find a warmer place to live out your dream. And you were able to do that, which is phenomenal, right? Being one of four of 300 people, or 4 out of a group of 300 people to be able to be on the K9 unit, which is amazing. And you found yourself already having realized your life dream. And so then things drastically changed on September 10th, 2001, as you talked to us about it. And you took the route to say, hey, listen, I'm going to go in, I'm going to try something else. Decided you were using some of those skills and I guess to really understand and getting into the anti-money laundering. And that must have been amazing, but just didn't work out for you. And so then you were open enough to really put yourself in a position to learn about more things. And so eventually, and you talked about Gene earlier, that you found this space where you could once again, and I talked about in the beginning, go out to serve your community, talking about what you could be doing specifically for an elderly population. And you came across real estate, and then you found out about assisted living. And so for those of us who don't know, can you help us to understand what exactly from a real estate perspective is assisted living? And what was it specifically about it that really drew your attention and your passion?
Yeah. So when we hear about assisted living, that's where people have this need. Usually later in life, we're starting to see some trends where it's becoming younger and younger population. But normally it's your elderly class, your baby boomers, anybody that's usually will start seeing about 75, but usually more close to their early to mid 80s, where they no longer can care for themselves. We've all had that, our mom or our grandmother and aunt, and I refer to women because they outlive us. So that's why we usually refer to women when we talk about this, because that's the majority of the population in the homes.
Okay.
So they need these activities, this help with activities of daily living, the things we take for granted, putting on your socks in the morning, taking a shower, just moving from one room to the next. Those things that we take for granted become extremely difficult for people when they get to that point. So there's this thing, and I don't know how popular it is in Europe. I'm assuming it's probably not, because I know culturally there's some real significant differences. So there's this view of, okay, let's find somebody that can help. So usually what we'll see is the family will say, we'll take care of mom. We'll bring her in. And then they realize this is a full-time job. I can't do this. I don't have the capacity to work, raise my kids, and be able to do this, not because they don't want to, but because they can't provide the level of care that is actually needed. Mm-hmm. So then they'll reach out to somebody in assisted living. Mm-hmm. People hear of assisted living, and what they see and vision is this big box facility. It looks like a hospital. It feels like a hospital. It has long hallways, long corridors. There's 200 people living on top of each other. You hear these nightmare stories of my mom fell down and nobody saw her for 2 days and nobody was able to help her. Mm. So I saw that as an opportunity to say, there's got to be something different out there. And when Gene came up and we spoke and I introduced myself after the presentation, I said, wow, this is so unique, because what we're doing is we're taking a home, an actual home in a neighborhood, upscale boutique, and we'll gut it. Let's say we take a 5,000 square foot home and we'll gut it, and we'll turn it into a 10 bed, 10 private beds, 10 private baths. And instead of now having that 200 people in the facility, you have 10. It feels like home. It's more intimate. The care is way better. Big box facility ratios for caregivers. You can have one caregiver that's responsible for 20 or 30 people. Mm. It's like, well, no wonder they missed that mom fell. It's almost impossible for one person to take care of that many people. It's too difficult. Where in our scenario is we get one caregiver that's responsible for 5 or 6 at the most. So it's very one-on-one. That's where that kind of segments and breaks off from the traditional assisted living model. Okay.
And so if I'm hearing you correctly as well, I mean, aside from being able to have a piece of real estate, it sounds like you were giving a lot of attention and focus on an aspect, once again, going back to what we talked about, something that you love is service. So my question to you, and probably a lot of the people that are watching us or listening, is this a real estate play, or is this a business play or a service play, or what exactly is it, Kevin?
It's all of it. That's the lovely part about it, because it is real estate. it is business and it is service. Yeah. So we could take, like I said, there's different ways people can get into this. We have some people that say, you know what, I just want to own the real estate. I'll do the conversion, I'll do the renovation, but bring in an operator. They get to operate it. They're going to pay me rent. Now, when we're talking about rent in a traditional single family home, let's say in the States you're going to get $250, maybe $300 a month of return on a single family home. Well, you have to build a very large portfolio for that to really become substantial. Mm-hmm. Well, we could do one home, and the home is going to business, I should say, in that home is going to generate anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 per month. So there's that business aspect. So there's a commercial business sitting inside of a residential home that's providing care. So it is all three aspects of that.
Okay. And that makes a lot of sense, right? And based on the way that your model is, and that, there are different models for everything. I frequently talk to people about, if you like food, you could go to a 3-star Michelin restaurant, or you could go to McDonald's, right? Both places you enjoy it, but you're serving a different customer, and your client is a different client. So maybe talk to us a little bit about who is the client that is typically coming and looking for the service aspect of what you provide.
Sure, absolutely. So what we get is there's somewhat of a misconception that our client is our resident, which is that elderly mom that's in there. And that's not. That's not our client. Our client is the person we refer to as daughter Judy. It's the adult children that have to take on the financial burden of it. And they're the ones that are making that decision, because a lot of times there's a cognitive decline with a lot of our residents. So they don't have the ability to make that decision. That's why people get manipulated when they're elderly. And that's why there's laws against it, because they don't have the ability to really, in a cognitive way, make that decision. So that's our client, is the parent saying, I want my mom, I don't want her in that big box. I don't want her in that institutional setting. I want her to feel like it's home. And it does. And we have a much higher, what I refer to as our happy factor increases in our homes, where people are happy, they enjoy it. We have a lot of activities. It's just a really great environment.
Okay. So I love that. So you're really focusing on daughter Judy, who is the person that your client is, right? And that could be the person that you're serving, because you want to make sure that daughter Judy in this instance is getting the right service and service level that she's looking for her mother or for her father. Right. And so that makes a lot of sense. And so speaking of which, and I know we've kind of talked around it a little bit, but I would love for you to talk to us about what exactly it is that you do at Round Box Equity LLC, sure, in terms of being able to add value once again to the community that you're serving.
Right. So in 2019, when we met, actually, we was at the 2019 Secrets of Successful Syndication with the real estate guys.
2018, eh?
Oh, that's right. It was 2018. Yes. So I spent 2019 traveling the country. I'm the director of one of Gene's sister companies with the Academy. It's called Family Legacy Homes.
Yep.
And we weren't sure what Family Legacy Homes is going to be. It's kind of like, let's figure it out and let's see what's out there. We knew it was going to have something to do with investors. So I went to a bunch of conferences and just was gauging investor interest in what we were doing. And one of the things we identified through that process was there's a lot of investor interest in this because the returns are amazing. Plus there's that social impact, or that impact that has aspect of it that other asset classes don't have. So what we got was, hey, I love what you guys do. I'm interested. However, I don't want to be an operator because that's a full-time job. And so how do I get into this? And we were like, well, you could contact an operator. And how do I contact the operators? Where do I find them? Where do I find the deals? So we just kicked around this idea, and I even reached out to a couple of syndicators that had syndicated their own deals. And I said, would you guys be interested in starting a syndication for other people's deals? And they're like, no, we're not interested. We'll do our own. So I said, I'm going to do it. I said, there's a gap here, and I'm going to do that because I want to provide those deals. So we're kind of like killing two birds with one stone in a way that we have the operators that have had this issue of finding finances, finding the capital that they needed to pull these deals off. Because they're, for an apartment investor, they may look at it and say $1 million deal is too small. But when you're talking about a single family home, $1 million deal just became really big. That's relative. So we wanted to provide that opportunity for the investors so they could passively come into these deals. We have the access to the operators. We know that they've been trained properly. We have vetted them. We know that we have a very high level of confidence that they could be a successful operator. So then what we did is we've created Round Box to kind of make that meat come together, where we have the passive investor that can't find the deal, and we have the operator who can't find the investor. And we've kind of brought them in together.
So once again, looking to serve not only your local community, but you're also looking to help serve a gap that's existing in the marketplace to be able to bring people together. Right. I guess what I keep hearing from you is this desire to want to serve, want to look to find out where there are opportunities and bring those two things together. I think it's pretty simple.
Yeah. I just got a glitch.
No, I think we're good. But so I guess maybe when you're bringing people together, can you kind of help us, maybe walk us through an example what that, you don't have to go into specifics, right? But just how things are working today, because you talked about these two different people that are, one are looking for operators and operators that are looking for people. And so kind of help us understand what that would look like. I'm somebody that I want to get involved in something that would make my heart feel better. I have additional capital. This is something I'm interested in, but I just don't know where to start. So how would we interact with you and Round Box?
Yeah. So, and that is very typical because, that's actually the investor we're looking for is that person that has a good paying job. They're more of a high net worth individual, and they want to be involved in this. So what we do is through the conferences, and now we're putting out some paperwork, some white papers and things like that. And we've been getting a lot of interest from people. So they could contact us. They go directly through our website at roundboxequity.com. They can contact us at our phone number. We have an 800 number they can contact us at. And then what we'll do is we'll start that conversation, because relationships is the base of all this. Yep. So it's not just, and this I guess goes back to my anti-money laundering and law enforcement background. I'm not just going to take anybody. They're going to have to go through a vetting process, because there's just too many opportunities for some ill-gotten gains to pass through the system. So that's what we do. We vet them. We vet our operators, and then we syndicate the deal, meaning that we'll bring in the capital. We'll bring in all of the experts that we have, our construction people and everybody. And that kind of creates this little bubble and this little safe space, I think, for people that may be a little leery about investing, especially overseas, where they can have that comfort level and build that relationship with us. Because we start that, it's always a call first, and let's start talking.
So, and this is a great thing, because this is going to lead into some things that we have just coming up, because I mean, what you're talking about is really getting to build a relationship. It's getting to understand the person, the individual, why they want to potentially engage with you, what they want to learn. And then you have the educational support and relationship support to be able to help people move forward. So, I guess if you can think about, Kevin, because as you are on this new phase and building, and I say new phase, meaning that you're continuing to evolve and develop and be able to get closer and service your clients better. If you imagine, let's say a year away, right? Because things are kind of happening at this crazy space. If you close your eyes and you just imagine, okay, well, a year from now, what are you doing? How many lives are you impacting? How are you continuing to move forward? Because I think a lot of people would love to know what your vision is there.
Right. And I love the fact that you said impacting people's lives, because that's what it is. It really is. So I see in a year, we're going to probably have multiple deals ranging from ground up construction to taking over. And that's a lot of things. We'll take over an existing business inside of a home that maybe isn't providing the best care or isn't the best run from an operational standpoint. So I think this is just growing, and we're going to be all over the United States. We're already underwriting that we're going to be putting on our platform very shortly. We're already underwriting 2 deals, one in the state of Georgia, one in the state of Ohio. And I just started underwriting a deal yesterday in the state of Missouri. So this is something that we want to grow. We want to take head on the big corporate private equity money that goes into the big box facilities. They now are starting to look at us and say, wait a minute, we need to be more like them. We need to make our places smaller and more homey. Well, you can't. When you have a hotel size facility, you can't make it a home. It's just not possible. So I think in the next year or so, we're definitely going to have a lot of growth. We're getting a lot of traction. We have a lot of investor interest, and we're getting a lot of contact from potential operators.
Okay, well, then that makes a lot of sense to me as well. And I guess before we go into our going long final 3 questions, you just mentioned something that really hits to the heart of what we talk about here, right? Because this is about helping people to feel much more comfortable and confident investing beyond your backyard. You told us in the very beginning, you're in the state of Arizona. At the same time, you just are underwriting for opportunities or for new business ventures, potentially in Ohio, potentially in Missouri, potentially in Georgia. I always want to know, why in the world would you look to invest beyond your backyard? Like, what's the motivation there?
It's opening that door. I think people get a little kind of like boxed in that, I can only do this here. No, you can't. You don't have to. Not in today's day and age. With the amount of technology we have, with all of these opportunities throughout the United States. For instance, my business partner who owns Jamie Robinson, he owns that home in Georgia. He remotes operates. He's in Alabama. It's very possible. If you can remote operate, you can certainly remote invest. It's just the technology's there for us.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I know people are going to be reaching out and want to find out more about how they do that, how we can be involved. But you know what, Kevin, it's time that we get to our going long final 3. But the thing is, I never ask the question unless you tell me that you're ready for me to ask you the going long final 3. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Cool. So, Kevin, I told you we started out with you in the beginning, and I'm over here in Barcelona. And so I always want to know from every single guest, like, what is your favorite European city, either that you visited yourself or still kind of like on your bucket list to visit?
It's a bucket list.
Okay.
It's Venice. I always wanted to see Venice. To me, for so many reasons, to me, it's mind-boggling that you have an entire city that has no roads. It's built on these little islands. Just from the real estate aspect of it, and thinking from the construction side, it's like these people were geniuses when they built this city. I just want to see it. I have to see it at some point.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. I had the chance to go 2 years ago, and it was it was pretty phenomenal. So another vote for Venice. So that's awesome. Kevin, listen, you are someone who is a successful person, and I usually say successful people have only made one mistake, like maximum, in their entire career, right? That's why they're okay. Well, maybe not. So here's the thing, right? You've probably made lots of them. I know I've made lots of them, but the most important thing is that they're a learning opportunity. But if you can think of one kind of specific thing that happened, and more importantly, not really talk to us about the thing that happened, but what is the lesson that you learned that you think would be an important lesson for somebody else to maybe not make exactly the same mistake?
I would say is be more focused on where it is you want to go and how it is you're going to get there. I've made that mistake, the shotgun approach of I'm just going to go into real estate. I think that there needs to be more laser focus from people. And if you're not happy, my mistake was actually the biggest learning experience for me was being in corporate America. I hated it. I hated every part of it because I felt like I was not allowed to do what I wanted to do. It was always what somebody else wanted me to do. Mm-hmm. So I say, take that as a learning experience and use that now I'm using it in my own business development. How am I going to treat people? How am I going to lead people? How am I going to be there for them? Not just within my business, but with the residents that are in those homes. So I would definitely say that was probably it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think it was Wayne Gretzky that talked about going where the puck is going to be, not where the puck is, right? Something
absolutely.
Like that. So, okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So that makes a lot of sense. And then, Kevin, kind of to wrap things up, I know that you are someone who also loves to read. And so I would love for you to share with us, what is one book that you would recommend our audience read?
Yeah, you know what? And it's a book I read years ago, and I actually have it here, and I'm rereading it. It's called The Power of Full Engagement. I know it's backwards back there. No.
It looks good. Tony Schwartz.
Yes. Tony Schwartz and Jim Lohr. So, it's, to me, it's important because we all have this idea of managing time. You can't manage time. Time is going to roll with it, whether you try to manage it or not. And this is more of the managing the energy and how to be productive. So it's one of those things that I go back every few years. I reread the book,
awesome.
Kind of like refocus on things. So that's it.
All right. And that was The Power of Full Engagement, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So we'll make sure that we include that in the show notes. Listen, I mean, we have started out everything from a couple guys that, we didn't really talk about this, but guys who went to college on opposite ends of the state of Ohio, which is great to be able to share this plateau and this format with you. You talked to us about being able to live a dream, right? And that's something that most people don't ever have an opportunity to do. Kevin, you were given a very unique opportunity in life on September 10th, 2001. And you really took that and ran with it, right? You started looking and testing some new things, and you decided you didn't want to be in the corporate world. And then you found something that really caught your attention. It grabbed your heart, and it was something that plays to your strengths, which is really about how you can continue to add value to communities, which is some of the things that we've seen you not in only your initial role right out of college, but also in what you're doing today. With Round Box Equity LLC. And so this is just phenomenal, man. And so many things that you've shared with us, and you've told us about how you continue to go out and educate people that want to be involved in types of things that you're doing. And I know there's so many people that are like, oh my gosh, I really got to figure out how to get in touch with Kevin. You've kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but help us understand, what is the best way to get in touch with you and your team so we can find out more and learn from you?
Sure. Always it's going to be probably the website's going to be the first one. Most people have access to it. So it's roundboxequity.com. Mm-hmm. And there's a tab up there that says opportunities. So if they hit that opportunities tab, fill out that information. And what it'll do is it'll send information to my team and myself, who will reach out, start those conversations. If they wanted to go by phone. And I'm going to look at it because I always forget it.
And just remind us, as you're looking up the phone number, just remind us of the website address again, please. And we'll include it in the show notes.
Yes, it's roundboxequity.com.
Okay, fantastic. Roundboxequity.com. And then let us know, what is that phone number you want to share with us?
Yes, it is 888-499-2869.
All right, perfect. 1-888-499-2869.
Yes, sir.
All right. Fantastic. So listen, Kevin, this has been an awesome conversation. This has done my heart a lot of greatness and done really well. And so I appreciate you investing your time with me and with the entire Going Long audience. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Oh, I appreciate you having me here, so we can talk about this and have, a little bit of insight into something, a little alternative investing. Thank you. Seriously, I'm very grateful for it.
All right. Awesome. So listen, Going Long audience, you have had an opportunity once again to learn from Kevin Haught, who has really helped us to understand more about what they're doing at Round Box Equity LLC, especially working in this area. We're continuing to be able to do good with people. At the same time, you're also able to have a gain personally, financially, et cetera. And he really is here to help you, to educate you so that you can make the best decision for yourself. And you know what? He's brought so much knowledge to us today. And I'm sure that you're thinking to yourself, look, I should at least share this with 2 or 3 other people. So go ahead and do it. Just share it with 2 or 3 other people, which would be awesome. And make sure that you leave us a review. Like, let Kevin and I know what the things that you liked about today's episode, the things that you would like to hear more about, because that would be great. And another reason for you to reach out to Kevin. And you know what? While you're doing that, if you want to leave us a 5-star review, that's fine as well. You can leave us a 5-star. We'll take it. We'll take it.
Yes.
And you know what? What I'd like to say is I'm really looking forward to welcoming you back on the very next conversation, the next episode. And until then, I want you to go out and make it a great day. Thank you very much. Wow. Don't you love hearing from top-notch experts in the field? When I was getting started, I really wish that I would have had access to such experts. And even more, I wish they would have given me like a really simple list of things to follow so that I could have gotten to my goals much faster and been much happier even sooner. So that's why I've created for you the 7 things that you should avoid in order to be successful in long distance investing. And you can pick that up really easily by going to billykeels.com/7 things to avoid. And also, if you liked today's episode, don't forget to leave a 5-star review. I'm looking forward to seeing you on our very next episode, so go out and make it a great day.